Funny, right? Recently, I think it was the CDC finally, I don't know, authorized toddler use for the jab. But when you take a look at the numbers here, is it really going to be all that necessary? Apparently, 75%, 3 out of 4 kids in the United States have already had the coof. So, now that there's been at least a slight acknowledgement of my natural immunity, why the fuck are we continuing to just even, keep this on in the back burner? Shouldn't we just be fucking moving on from this shit? Like, even the biggest cheerleader for my pandemic is finally just being like, we're finally out of the pandemic phase. Why this admission all of a sudden? Maybe it's just the last attempt to just try to get on the cable news networks and, just get his name out there in the papers one final fucking time, because you do recall old Anthony Fauci there. He's about 80 something years old. He's the highest paid member in the federal government, and he's getting ready to just clean out his office and just shuffle off into retirement. And hopefully it's a short one for his sake. But why is all of this shit happening? Well, because some of the information is starting to come out now, and boy, isn't it exactly what we kind of figured, but then at the same time, also fairly fucking damning if we're being fair about this. The CDC and FDA altered COVID guidance and even suppressed findings while under political pressure. Bombshell report suggests whistleblower employees say they feared retaliation if they spoke up. Can't say I'm shocked. Can't say I'm shocked at all. This is what everybody just kind of anticipated that would eventually come out at one point or another. And now, I guess, 2+ years into this, we finally fucking arrived. So what exactly did they suppress? Let's take a look. CDC and FDA officials altered COVID guidance and even suppressed findings related to the virus due to political pressure, a bombshell report suggests. Investigators from the watchdog Government Accountability Office, GAO, spoke to more than a dozen directors and managers who worked at agencies behind the country's pandemic guidance. They unearthed allegations of political interference in scientific reports, raising fears that research was tampered with. No! Oh my god. Just think of everything that we know so far that was suppressed or tampered with or altered, outright denied, and then later just admitted, maybe there's some truth and some validity to those claims. Remember that lab in Wuhan that was just verboten? Nope, it came from a wet market. It came out of the asshole of a bat. Nobody can ask any other questions besides that. And some emails get leaked out and it's like, okay, maybe we did something. And don't worry, good old Uncle Joe is going to come to everybody's rescue, and he's going to launch an investigation that'll last for 90 days and ended up with an inconclusive finding. And don't worry, nothing to see here, folks. But then, now, thanks to a third-party group, the Government Accountability Office, a 37-page report concludes the GAO warned that neither agency, the FDA or the CDC, had a system in place for reporting allegations of political interference. It also said that they failed to train staff how to spot and report this. Yeah. No, exactly. This was all about the government controlling the narrative. And that's why you know the names of Fauci, okay? That's why you know Rochelle Walensky, Francis Collins. That's why these people have household notoriety. Because prior to, early 2020, nobody knew who the fuck these people were. They were just, mindlessly and needlessly collecting checks from the federal government. But now, they got a little taste of success, okay? Trump was holding his daily press conferences in the early days of the pandemic, right? And who was right there? Well, of course, I need to have my screen time, so why won't anybody please pay attention to me? And then he got on all of the fucking, State of the Union, okay? The Meet the Press. He was there every fucking week, okay? And especially in the early days, every weeknight, every newscast was running full court press to make you scared, to make you fearful of a virus with a survivability rate that would make the Clinton Foundation blush. Whistleblowers said they did not speak up at the time for the belief of retaliation because they were unsure how to report the issue or believed leaders were already aware. This is just the latest in a growing patchwork of reports suggesting politicians influenced scientific papers during the pandemic for their own ends. On Tuesday, the Biden administration's top medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, declared the U.S. is now out of the pandemic phase of COVID, citing low cases and hospitalizations. Oh, but don't worry. worry, it'll just become endemic, even though it was never supposed to get to that point. And don't worry, come the fall, I'll try to make another comeback, because everybody likes a comeback story, right? Fuck off. But health experts were quick to question the claim buried at the end of the interview with PBS NewsHour, suggesting he may have bungled his words and should have only said the nation was in a low phase of low hospitalizations. No. We still need to keep everybody scared and everybody just paying attention to all of our screens, even though everybody's about fucking done with this, okay? Even the most ardent supporters of wear masks everywhere, they're all just starting to fucking fall off, okay? Get your 9 jabs, and people are like, okay, cool, I got my 2 immunizations, but then you want me to get a 3rd one? And then you want me to get another one after that? There's only the most devout weirdos out there, okay? Because then the only reason that they get the booster is because they get a free bag of cat litter to begin with, so whatever, dude. And this was an interview with PBS. It's funded by your taxpayer dollars. So, shouldn't that also be another red flag that maybe the government has a little bit more to do with some suppression and misinformation, if we can go ahead and throw back a term right into their fucking face, than they'd care to admit? In the early phase, the White House was accused of waging a war on science. You're against the science. I am the science. Oh, what? The science is no longer necessary. Science trademark. And now you can just fuck off? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, with then President Donald Trump repeatedly pushing for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports to be amended to support his views, as shown in emails made public by congressional investigators last April. Oh my God. A few respondents from the CDC and the FDA stated they felt the potential political interference they observed resulted in an alteration or suppression of scientific findings. GAO investigators wrote in a report. Some of these respondents believe that the potential political interference may have resulted in the politically motivated alteration of public health guidance or delayed publication of COVID-related scientific findings. The GAO report published last week looked into the 2 agencies alongside the National Institute of Health, the NIH, which, Fauci apparently runs, America's top research institute. Oh, no, right. He runs the AIDS. Sorry, my mistake. And the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, whatever, Asperger's, in charge of natural disaster response, which just was definitely just dead people in the streets at all times. I remember that as well. All of the part of the Department of Health and Human Services, which in February was branded as a high risk for fraud, mismanagement, and abuse by the GAO in a separate report. The latest report, they defined political interference as political influences seeking to undermine impartiality and professional judgment. Investigators said that they also set up an anonymous hotline for 2 months to allow employees to report instances which they received a few calls. Oh, okay, you received a few calls. What did they say? I don't need specific names or anything like that, but what are they alleging here? Because previously, if we just, dalliance over to the highlighted section there, the U.S. Health Department at high risk of fraud and mismanagement. The U.S. DOH, in a report published in February, suggests the Government Accountability Office said that it was exposed to financial waste and abuse. And there we go. They pointed to a lack of leadership at the agency during the COVID pandemic, Zika outbreak, and the natural disasters like hurricanes and forest fires sweep the United States. It's almost like there's too much bureaucracy in the federal government. Weird. The department is also responsible for the CDC, which altered findings during the pandemic due to political pressure. Another report released this month suggests, based on interviews with top-ranking officials at the agency. The first year of the pandemic, the FDA was also accused of grossly misinterpreting the effectiveness of the blood plasma transfusion from hospitalized COVID patients in the New York Times article that was also footnoted by the GAO. Oh, terrific. They're citing the New York Times. Its press release thundered that the treatment was 35% effective against the death, a figure which Trump branded tremendous. Well, it's significantly higher than any other treatment that's out there, but hey, whatever. The scientists were taken aback by the figure, which was not mentioned in the official authorized letter or in the 17-page memo written by the scientists. It was also not in the analysis conducted by the Mayo Clinic, which was frequently cited, which, the Mayo Clinic actually does some stuff instead of just being a red tape dispensary like they've become. They got a bunch of other stuff in here that also just kind of alludes to some off-brand treatment, and it's been a minute since we've done a full-on coof video here, so I don't necessarily know what we can mention and what we can't, but the long and short of it is, yeah, we're pretty much fucking done with this shit, okay? There's, like, I don't even know what mainstream media is peddling at this point. It's just all about Marussia, and, I don't know, Putin's stumbling, stammering, and dying or some shit, or you just watch a press conference or something and it looks totally fine, as opposed to what good old Uncle Joe is up to. But who knows, maybe somebody will take a look at this report and realize that, oh fuck, we've been lied to. Just give us a little bit of time, because we need to figure out a way to spin this to make it a little bit more palatable. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.